Hey, we're back.
Yes, we are, sir.
We're back in business. It's been a week.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Yeah. I'm like, are we gonna start quoting that song now? But a lot has happened this last week,
Yes.
and not exactly in gaming or tech, unfortunately. We're currently under quarantine.
yeah.
Where we are, Arizona is at least
Day 2 now, right?
officially. Yeah. I remember getting off work yesterday and then going to the gym and seeing the parking lot was empty. And I'm like, wait a second. And I checked the gym's Facebook page and it's like, we're closing down all locations. And I'm like, frick.
Tilting.
I was tilted in real life, dude. I was like, man, I gotta go home. I just have to be home. I don't want to do that. But it should be fine. It should be fine. But with that being said, that kind of affected our news cycle. Like, now more than ever. And this has been going on for, this is what, the 6th episode?
Yep.
Where this whole coronavirus thing?
Yeah. Around 4 to 6, I'd say.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. Like, if I had the foresight to see that this is was going to happen back then, I don't know. I don't think we could have done anything different.
Yeah.
But it's happening. So bear in mind that the podcast may be a little bit shorter than usual, just because the news cycle is dominated right now with non-tech news and non-gaming news.
Every other news story is, games to play while under quarantine.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cover 9 lists of that, so.
Yeah, me neither. But we'll try it. We'll try it anyway.
We do have some news. We got some reviews and things to cover, such as, Warzone. TFT Mobile launched today, which is nice. Yeah,
we give that as well. You gave that a spin, but we did test out some features for crossplay, so we'll talk about that. And then in the tech news, we got some Microsoft news, we got some Apple news, we got some console news. That's really exciting. That happened this last couple weeks. So we'll dive right into that as we always do. What happened to my show notes? Here we go. All right. So tech news, as always. First and foremost, probably the biggest story that happened this last week, but Bill Gates has stepped down from the board of directors of Microsoft. So, interestingly enough, he stepped down on March 13th, so about 5 days ago from today, since today is the 18th of March, which actually marked his 36-year tenure as a member of the board of directors of Microsoft.
Jesus.
So this is a position that he held for 36 years up until the 13th of March. Now, that was also the day, so 36 years ago, March 13th, 1986, that was the day that Microsoft became a publicly traded company. And so that's when he occupied that role on the board of directors. Specifically as a CEO back then, but now he's not the CEO. Someone else has been the CEO, i.e. not Bill Gates, for a while ago. Something that hasn't been getting as much coverage of this is that he also left the board of directors for Berkshire Hathaway, which is headed by Warren Buffett. But, they're like a real estate conglomerate, that sort of thing. But anyway, he left that as well. The reason that he left, as he detailed in a post in LinkedIn, fun fact, I actually follow Bill Gates on LinkedIn, so so I can read this there. But he said, quote, that it was to dedicate more time to philanthropic properties, including global health and development, education, and my increasing engagement in tackling climate change. So those are his words that he posted on LinkedIn. Appropriately enough, as this coronavirus broke out, that's when he decided to quit, right before things started getting real crazy here in the United States. With that is when he decided to step down to try and focus more on that. I imagine he's going to do a lot more with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
And if you kind of kept up with Bill Gates as a person, not so much Microsoft, in the past years, as he's been slowly, getting himself removed from Microsoft as an entity, you know that he's been already heavily influenced by the current state of health in the world. Him and his wife, through their foundation, have already done great work through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Africa, with a lot of AIDS prevention over there. They've been a huge powerhouse as far as getting stuff done in Africa and that. So hopefully they'll continue to do that, especially in third world countries where they don't really have a fighting chance for common day diseases that we kind of shrug off.
Yeah.
So they're genuinely accomplishing good in the world, which is a lot more that could be said for a lot of the other money grubbers. There are people that are making billions and billions of dollars that they literally could not spend if they tried to, personally. But we'll see. But that was probably the biggest news in the tech community that kind of shook it as a whole this week. But yeah, so Bill Gates, more power to you. Do what you got to do. You got lots of money, so he's spending it really, really, very, very wisely. Next story here is actually something that has to do with Minecraft. We got a Minecraft story on the thing on the bill today, but basically there's a project in the works, not directly from Minecraft and Microsoft, but it's actually a project headed by Blockworks and Media Monks to create what's called the Uncensored Library, which is basically a collection of journalistic posts and stories that will be accessible through a Minecraft server.
I heard about this.
Yeah. So it's actually really, really, really cool what's happening here. So, for example, in countries where journalism is restricted or heavily censored, like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Russia, all these places, they're very, very censored as far as not only just the journalism but just the media as a whole in these countries and in these places. But Minecraft is not blocked. You can play Minecraft in Saudi Arabia, you can play Minecraft in Russia, and you can play Minecraft in Egypt. And so what this uncensored library project is a location on a Minecraft server that is basically just a huge library. And there's a photo here that the listeners won't be able to see, but that's what the library looks like. It's basically it's a huge building that you go into, in the Minecraft game, and you open books, and in those books are stories, news, like of what's going on in these countries that would normally not be able to be published through normal media outlets in countries like this. So it's a huge project. It's supposed to have details for the current state of press freedom in over 180 countries. And the building in the Minecraft game is like a neoclassical museum style, and it's sorted by country. So you walk into the building with your Minecraft avatar, whatever it might be. I've seen some weird Minecraft avatars, so I kind of get a kick off of that. But you can walk in, and you can't destroy any of the data in there, like the books, because Minecraft, you build and you destroy whatever. You're not allowed to do that, but you can contribute to the library if needs be. But there's a whole process you have to go through. You have to submit the information outside of Minecraft. You have to get it approved by the board, and then it has to be published inside the library. So it's very much it's very much a legitimate project for the freedom of speech. Yeah. Of all things. So this is something that can accomplish a lot of good, and it's still an ongoing project. And they're taking extra measurements to make sure that Minecraft as a whole isn't banned because of this in these countries. So it's a very touchy subject. of with censorship and right to information and things like that, we as Americans, we kind of take that for granted, and our stance is usually make information free, freedom of the press. That's like a basic right that we're used to, but that's not the case for everyone. So this is a great project, and I think it's hilarious that it's in Minecraft.
Is it gonna be? Did they announce whether it's gonna be like a server that you join, or is it like a pre-saved map that you'll download that'll be like updated every now and then?
Yeah, so in this article that I'm referencing through Engadget, it doesn't say the specifics on how that works. It all it says is that it's a Minecraft map. So that's not really specific, I think.
Okay.
I think if it was access server side, that makes sense to me. Just have it hosted somewhere like in Norway, or something like that. And it's pretty much open air as far as accessibility goes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the information's out there. I haven't played Minecraft personally in a while, so
it's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that game works now, man. It's nuts. I'm trying to think of the latest thing that happened the latest patch of Minecraft that I played. I think it was like redstone switches or something like that.
You didn't play like right when they
horses, I think. Horses were a brand new thing.
Okay. Then you
played... That was a while ago.
Well, I was going to say that you played a little later than I thought you did. I thought you were going to say like when villagers were first introduced.
No, when I started playing, villagers had already been a thing for a little bit. Last time I played it, at least. So, who knows? But yeah, so props to this project. I hope it goes a long way for sure. For your daily dose of Corona tech stories. Tech virus. I hope it's not a tech virus at this point. But for the coronavirus tech story, with a lot of places here in the U.S. at least, a lot of places are shutting down. A lot of companies are having people work from home or remotely work somewhere. And right as that happened, Microsoft's cloud services had a shortage, or not a shortage, but had an outage is what I'm looking for. That's the word. They had an outage. So Xbox Live Cloud Services and Microsoft Office 365 suffered an outage over the weekend. I believe it was Sunday. So at least in the Americas, Sunday's typically a day where people don't work. But still, I work with Office 365 every day. That's my job, is to set up Office 365 for people. And it was interesting to see, because Microsoft guarantees 99.9% uptime with Office. So if it's even down for 20 minutes, everyone can get a refund for it or something like that. Yeah. So that was interesting to see, just the timing of that. There wasn't anything catastrophic that happened about that. There's some angry gamers that they couldn't play Xbox Live on Sunday, and then of course some corporations went down temporarily for just a handful of minutes when the outage happened with Office 365, because I know a lot of large corporations run off of Microsoft Azure, which is the underbelly of Office 365. That's how the cloud services run, is on Azure. But like I said, no one reported super massive outages. Not a lot of people, nuclear power plants didn't melt down because of this outage and things like that. So, that's interesting timing with the coronavirus and how people are trying to adapt, and the failure of cloud services kind of left a vulnerable spot in a lot of people.
And then it probably didn't look too good right after Bill Gates stepped down. Even though I'm sure it had nothing to do with it, there's a bunch of people who were like, wow, leaves one day and everything goes bad. Yeah.
I'm sure that's what crossed a lot of people's minds. I actually checked the stock prices for Microsoft when Bill Gates announced he left, and it dipped a little bit, and then it came right back up.
That's funny.
So Bill Gates leaving, cloud services going down. It was not a good weekend for Microsoft at all.
I want to say Xbox was down all over the U.S. for a while.
Yeah, probably. And that makes sense, because Microsoft's main money-making enterprise product is Office 365. So if Microsoft, from a tech, from an IT standpoint, if their cloud services go down as a whole, That means Xbox Live cloud services are down. That means Office 365 services are down. Xbox Live services are on the back burner until they can get Office 365 up and running, because they're in a whole pile of poop.
They don't want them refunds going out.
Yeah, because they make so much money off of Office, billions and billions of monthly reoccurring fees for Office 365. No doubt. I think someone in my office. There's 2 teams in my office, right? We have our core team, which is what I'm on. And then we have our premium team, and they handle the more enterprise customers, customers that are accounts that have 100, 200, 300, 500 plus employees in there, right? So, it was a couple months ago, but they had a client who purchased like $10,000 worth of monthly Office 365 licenses.
Oh my god!
Yeah, dude, it was nuts. I remember we were like, "Holy crap, that's a lot of Office." Yeah, the agent who sold them that there in the office made a lot of money that month. But yeah, so it was wild. Moving on from that story, non-corona related. Apple announced their new MacBook Air, actually, and this kind of piggybacks off of a story that I think we did last week, where we talked about. I believe last week we talked about some information that we were able to grab from leaked iOS 14 code, and some of the features that were listed from that code, right? So this. Why did I link this? Anyway, never mind. Not a MacBook Air that we're talking about today. I don't know. I grabbed the wrong story. But anyway, this is equally as cool, is that Apple unveiled their new iPad Pro. And it has a couple of interesting key feature sets that come with it. So we'll talk about that for sure. The iPad Pro features a floating design with a keyboard. So it has a keyboard attachment on the tablet, and the tablet doesn't rest like on a ridge on the keyboard. You can see it in this photo right here. It kind of floats there.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, that's like super futuristic, I feel. I think a lot of the computer monitors that I like kind of have that same concept.
Yeah.
Where the screen is sitting there and the stand for the screen doesn't completely just come down, straight down. It kind of like goes back a little bit and then forms the base of it. It's kind of the same concept here. But anyway, this new iPad Pro, let's off some specs, shall we? This iPad Pro comes with the new A12Z Bionic chip. So that's the Bionic chips that are meant specifically for their tablets. They're claiming that it's quote unquote faster and more powerful than most Windows PC laptops. Debatable. I want to see some benchmarks before they make that claim. But as far as the hardware that comes on the iPad that most people are going to care about, it comes with a new ultra-wide camera. So, for taking selfies or for video conferencing or whatever. It comes with studio quality mics, whatever that means. Maybe higher frequency range on those microphones, or capture range. I don't know. That they just said studio quality mics, so that can mean a lot. But and it comes with a LiDAR scanner. So what the light, instead of radar, which is radio waves, is LiDAR, which uses light. So that it's for depth sensing capabilities, and you can use that for applications and whatnot. That uses the LiDAR for for motion gestures in front of the tablet or whatever. So the LiDAR scanner, along with pro cameras, motion sensors, pro performance, pro audio, and of course the patent pending liquid retina display, along with the applications that are developed for specifically this iPad Pro. It's touted as the world's best tablet device for augmented reality. So the expectation is that you can use this for some AR applications, which would be pretty cool. I mean, a lot of Apple devices are used for productivity and design. So if there's a way to use it for specifically, for example, AR enhanced design, like for rooms, like for for like a home designer or something like that, that'd be a really, really cool application. Also confirmed with this, with the keypad or keyboard being added to the iPad Pro, that kind of confirms the trackpad functionalities that were leaked in the codes that we talked about for iOS 14. So it actually works a little bit differently than the Mac OS trackpad experience. Like for what are those laptops called for the MacBooks? They're called MacBooks. That's what I was looking for. You can tell I'm not an Apple user. But the trackpad on the iPads are going to work a little bit differently than they do for the MacBooks. But some similarities are that the multi-touch is going to work, and as far as gestures work, they're going to work the same on iPads as they do on MacBooks. There's let's see here. I'm just making sure I'm not missing any of the key specs or features that are supposed to be talked about here for this. So diving a little bit deeper here, since we're going to have a little bit more time today because of our story set. But the really cool thing about the A12Z Bionic chip that's in this iPad Pro is that it's coded and it supports 4K video editing and designing and rendering 3D models. It has an 8-core GPU inside of the A12 Bionic, and it's supposed to have an enhanced thermal architecture that's tuned specifically for consistent clocks, so that there's no overheating or temporary overheating and thus throttling of the CPU and GPU. There's also an 8-core CPU alongside that 8-core GPU in there, so it's spec'd out pretty nicely. For Apple, it better be. The display on there, the Retina display, there's two sizes. There's 11-inch and 12.9-inch models. As far as what that has is that it has what Apple calls the ProMotion display, which just means it's 120 hertz. So it's gonna look really nice. I don't know, Ruben, if you've tried phones with 90 hertz or 120 hertz refresh rates.
I have not.
Go to Best Buy and find a phone like the latest the Samsung S series with the high refresh rate. Dude, it feels so nice. It looks so good. It kind of ruins regular phones for you, to be honest. It kind of did for me. I tried it once and I keep on trying to forget it ever since, so that my phone doesn't feel dated. But yeah, so there's some interesting things here about the about that new iPad Pro, not the MacBook Air. Although I wouldn't be surprised if this was kind of meant to be a replacement for the MacBook Air, just because the whole philosophy behind the MacBook Air is being tiny, being super thin, being super portable, more so than the regular MacBook Pros, right?
Yeah.
And typically the MacBook Airs have been smaller devices, like 10-inch devices, 11-inch devices, whereas the smallest MacBook Pros have been 15 and 13 inches. So
I could definitely see it replacing it with the size, and like it's not it'd be easy to like move. It's not ridiculously big or seems like it'd be annoying to carry. Like it looks super slick.
Yeah.
Even for someone who does not like Apple products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even Apple has been trying to push this for years, as the iPad Pros being like a PC replacement. It's never going to happen, but they keep on pushing that, and because they want to convince people that's the case, right? Update here. There was also a MacBook Air that was announced, but we're not going to talk about it because I didn't have time to prepare for it. But it exists. It's 13 inches. It's $1,000 and it has twice the storage of the last generation MacBook Air. Let's leave it at that.
Just buy a computer at that point.
Yeah, that that's our recommendation, but we're not everyone.
I was like, you can literally build something better than that for cheaper than that.
Yeah, I mean, very true. But some people just want to be vindictive. They don't want to admit that we're right. We're right sometimes. And you know what? I think we can live with that. But anyway, one last story here, and it kind of transitions into the gaming section. But it's definitely one of the biggest. I'd say probably one of the biggest tech-centered announcements here that covers both of our segments, both gaming and tech. In the same week they announced the PS5 and Xbox Series X technical specifications for the consoles. So we should definitely go over those here. I pulled up a comparison chart here just so I could reference it.
Oh, nice. I think we got the same exact
So
one.
from Push Square, or you got it from The Verge? There we go. We're back. I don't know how long we've been quiet for, to be honest. I'm gonna hold the mic like this, so it doesn't disconnect.
Well, we just started a new story, and it's covering PS5 versus Xbox Series X specs.
Yeah. So let's go over that again. So CPU, right?
Yeah.
They're using an 8-core, 16-thread Zen 2 based architecture for the CPU. But the difference on there is actually how each of the consoles manage the CPU cores. So as far as the PS5 announcement, they announced that it's just that they're using the CPU at a 3.5 gigahertz base clock, from what I understood. And they said variable frequency, so I'm guessing that that the 3.5 would be the max boost clock, and then it just goes down from there based on the demand. That's what I understood from the small section of the PS5 announcement that I saw. It was really boring, not gonna lie, so I didn't finish watching it.
Yes, it was.
But for the Xbox Series X that was announced, they announced that not only it's the same processor, but they also announced that there's some options for developers as far as coding and programming games for the console. For the Xbox Series X, you have two options. You could either run 8 cores and 8 threads on the CPU at a full 3.8 gigahertz boost, which is a lot, or you have the option of using 8 cores and all the 16 threads on the CPU with 3.6 gigahertz on there, which is really important for depending on what games you have. If you have a game that's super demanding, like another Tomb Raider game, you want all the threads on there processing as many threads of information into the cores as possible. So the difference between 16 threads and 8 threads on there could be the difference between a laggy experience and a non-laggy experience, which I liked. I liked that they included that there. Let's go on to the GPU. Do you want to read the differences for the GPU?
Yes. Alright, so for GPU, the PlayStation 5, they're both running AMD RDNA 2. But for the PlayStation 5, it's going to be 10.28 teraflops, while the Xbox Series X is actually going to be running 12 teraflops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's also a big difference there between the two. I need to add that RDNA 2 is not even out yet.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even out yet. The first that we heard about it was actually at AMD's conference about a week ago that they had for their shareholders. But yeah, RDNA 2 isn't out yet on any GPU yet. So the fact that they announced it for these consoles is actually pretty sick, which means that we'll be getting RDNA 2 PC GPUs here fairly soon. I hope. Right? But just some interesting things about this too. The GPU in the PlayStation 5, like you said, it was 12.28 teraflops. That GPU has 36 compute units, and it's going to be running at a toasty 2.23 gigahertz. While the one in the Xbox Series X, not only does it have more compute units at 52, which is a sizable difference, but it's gonna be clocked at 1.825 gigahertz. So right off the bat, generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, the Xbox should be running cooler than the PlayStation, because not only does it have more compute units, but each of those compute units are going to be clocked lower at 1.825 gigahertz, which means that whatever load is on the Xbox is going to be more evenly distributed amongst those compute units in the GPU, which will make for a more efficient management of that information, so you don't have to worry about cooling as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, looking at the PS5, less compute units running at a higher clock rate, it's going to be more susceptible to being real toasty, is what I'm thinking, which actually makes sense when you take into account the fact that the CPU on the PS5 is clocked lower, so that's probably them trying to make more thermal headroom, trying to make it not as, hot, and therefore not as loud with the fan spinning to try and cool it.
I was going to say that I know PlayStation 4 is infamous for being super loud when you're gaming.
Oh, really?
The fans are super loud. So hopefully PlayStation 5 doesn't have the same issue.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Maybe it'll continue that tradition. Who knows? Off of this spec sheet.
PS5 is going to be getting the old school Red Ring of Death from the 360 days. Watch.
Ooh, that would be vengeance with blood, dude. That'd be funny.
Yeah, if they have overheating problems at launch, that's going to be nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway. Let's
talk
move
about
on.
That RAM.
Yeah, RAM. What kind of RAM are we working with?
We're working with 16 gigs of DDR6 in both systems, sir.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a lot of RAM. Just going out and saying that's a lot of RAM. We did get a little bit more information about how the Xbox Series X is going to be using its RAM, though. For the Xbox Series X, I believe you have two different types of RAM at different speeds in the Xbox Series X. And again, this is a really good option for developers when they're coding for it, because again, they'll have more options as far as how they're going to be using the hardware. One thing that about this whole thing, I'm going to be talking a lot about the Xbox Series X, mainly because before Xbox did their spec teardown of the Series X, they actually sent one to a couple of YouTubers that I follow. The one that I watched was Austin Evans. He got an Xbox Series X and he was allowed to play with it and take it apart.
Oh,
and
wow.
You can look at the PCBs there. You could look at the memory chips that are soldered onto the board, all that good stuff. But as far as the Xbox Series X goes and the information that we have for that, for the RAM, you have 10 gigabytes of 560 gigabit per second RAM, and then the other 6 gigabytes of RAM are 336 gigabit per second RAM. So you have 6 gigabytes that are slightly slower than the other 10, but that makes sense from an efficiency standpoint, especially when you have RAM allocated. You have about 3 gigabytes allocated to System OS and other core features and functionalities of the system. So again, that might be just an optimization thing. It may also be a cost thing. As well as we get further down the spec sheet here, we're going to see the differences between the PS5 and the Xbox, and not only from a technical standpoint do some of these things make sense, but it may also make economic sense when it comes to pricing out the bill of materials for each of these machines.
Yeah.
As far as we know for the PS5, we didn't get much information. All we know is that the 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM in the PS5 is going to be running at 448 gigabits per second. That's all we know. Which is kind of right in the middle of the two sets of 560 gigabit per second and 336 gigabit per second in the Xbox Series X. So as far as I understand, or as far as I know yet, not having watched the spec sheet conference for the PS5, this may be a blended number, and PS5 may be going with a similar RAM configuration, but I don't know. That's me being a bad journalist and not figuring that out before today's podcast. My bad. Let's go to the next point of contention here between the two consoles, which is the storage.
Yes.
For the PlayStation side, they said that they're running a custom 825 gigabyte SSD, and on Xbox Series X side, they're running a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD. So the big point of contention here is that for the PS5, their SSD runs on the SATA standard, which is not as fast as NVMe. Surprisingly enough, NVMe SSDs are like 3 to 4 times faster as far as data speeds and transfer speeds go. So not only does the PS5 get less storage overall, but it also has a slower data bus than the Xbox Series X.
Did you see that they released also how fast their data transfer is? It's actually the way they customize it is it's actually faster than Xbox's.
Oh, really?
So it goes 5.5 gigabytes per second raw, and then between 8 to 9 gigabits of data if it's compressed. While it's the Xbox Series X is 2.4 gigabits raw or 4.8 gigabits compressed. So
with custom hardware decompression block. Interesting.
So
yeah.
This is the one part that I've seen superior to Xbox. However, I feel like since they're both going to be SSDs, when it comes to in-game loading and in-game saving and all that, you're not going to notice too much of a difference.
No.
But you're definitely going to be noticing your difference in your downloads, obviously, which is really big. However, I'm not a fan that PlayStation 4's SSD can hold less, simply because the new games and the new graphics in games are so demanding with data.
They're large.
If you have to download all these games like you have been with, Xbox, where you got to download the whole game before you can play it, or PlayStation, you're going to fit like 4 games, and then you're going to have to buy additional memory or just keep deleting and downloading games.
Yeah.
And I do know that PlayStation or Sony announced that there would be, of course, external options to expand. However, they have not released any data on how fast those download.
Yeah, so we have kind of a window as to what to expect for that, just based on what they've said about expandable and external storage, at least on this chart that I have here in front of me. So one other thing that I do have to commentate on for the storage mediums is that I don't like the word custom on the PS5, mainly because if from a modder's perspective, right, or from a right to repair perspective, if there's a custom SSD running on a custom bus inside the PS5 and it breaks, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Xbox Series X, it's running a traditional NVMe SSD there. So repairability is already, just from the nature of the parts inside of it, are already going to be so much easier. On both cases, if your drive dies on you, you're going to have a problem with getting the operating system on the drive. But if you're a PS5 owner, not only do you have to worry about where to get the operating system, but also what kind of drive you have to buy and where to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas the Xbox, you're like, oh, maybe I can use this opportunity to upgrade to, a top-of-the-line NVMe SSD, and then worry about the OS later, as an afterthought, really. But that's my 2 cents on there. As far as expandable storage, for both of them, you can expand the PS5 since it has an open NVMe SSD slot, which is nice. And then on the Xbox Series X, you have 1 terabyte. You have a 1 terabyte expansion card, which is also NVMe SSD. It matches the inside, so they're pretty evenly matched there. With the Xbox Series with the Xbox Series X, straight up limiting you to a 1 terabyte expandable storage, whereas that's not really specified with the PS5, so we'll see, if we get more information on that. As far as external storage goes, The PS5 has a USB HDD support, so you can hook up an external hard drive there. Whereas the Xbox will have a USB 3.2 external HDD support, which is really good because USB 3.2 is really fast.
Yeah.
It's a really fast bus, so you don't have to worry about that. As far as comparable specs go, I don't really have anything else to mention about it.
Neither of them have announced the price, but what are you thinking?
$600.
Really? You think
I think it's gonna be $599. Yeah, I think these are gonna be really expensive consoles.
I don't know. I think $599 is too high. I mean, I could see it with everything that they have, but I feel like $599 would piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say $499 just because I want to say PlayStation's done $599 in the past, and it did not blow over well with Sony fans.
Right. Well, we know that the hardware this time around is much more complicated too. Like a custom AMD SoC with brand new architecture that's not even out yet, with the leading CPU architecture out there with Zen 2. RAM is also, it's not super cheap right now, but it's not like it's but it's kind of pricey too. NVMe storage is expensive.
Yeah.
Like if you were to go to Newegg right now and look up a Sabrent Rocket M2 NVMe SSD, 1 terabyte, that's gonna be the PCIe 4.0 version, right? I doubt these will be PCIe 4.0 version, although they totally could be, depending on the chipset, because the CPU supports PCIe 4.0. But if let's do worst case scenario and say it's a PCIe 4.0 for the storage. 1 terabyte of that is literally like $350 or like $300. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. So like the whole spec sheet that I'm seeing here, I am ready for these machines to be $600.
Oof.
That's my guess.
I feel like if they do launch at $600, it's gonna be $600 for like 4 months before they have to drop the price because of complaints.
Yeah, I think so too. I think 600 would be like, at that point, just build yourself a PC, bro. Like, that's what these things are anyway. And the PC, the do-it-yourself PC market prices are constantly changing too. So usually they're changing for lowering prices and not raising the prices. So you could probably build a comparable machine to this for less, given a couple months. But again, this is just pure speculation. So we'll have to wait and see what the release prices are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's all the tech I got today.
Alrighty, well then, without further ado, I shall get into the gaming stuff. Alright, sir, now if you remember last time we were talking, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, but Halo 1 from the Master Chief Collection Shadow dropped on Steam.
Yes.
And starting later this month, Halo 2 is actually going to be going into testing, meaning that we can probably see Halo 2 for release maybe within the next 2 months.
Right.
As well as with Halo 2, obviously its Halo 2 Anniversary Edition will also be dropping with it, meaning the updated graphics, alongside Forge and Theater for Halo Reach.
Woo!
I have Halo Reach on PC, and I didn't even realize that Forge and Theater weren't there yet, because I literally just jumped straight online.
Yeah, naturally.
Let's see. And then next up, I got a supposed leak a little while ago, as well as screenshots on Rockstar's website, led to rumors that GTA 6 is going to be coming out soon. They're calling it, supposedly, it's called Project America, is the leak. And they're saying it may have been confirmed by GTA 5 Online. Apparently, in one of the recent updates, they added a new racetrack to the city of Los Santos, which fans think contain a hint that GTA 6 will take gamers back to Vice City.
Yes! Yes! That'd be so sick.
That would be awesome. I loved Vice City. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think thematically, so GTA Vice City was the first GTA game I ever played.
Really?
Yeah. So, has a special place in my heart, right? But I also think it's a really cool game, like thematically. It could do really well, and it would look very well, and it would play very well if it was updated to GTA 5 standards.
I really hope that if this is true and they do go back to Vice City, I hope they keep that same color palette.
Yeah, because whole teal, pink.
Yeah.
Like cyberpunk type of
neon Miami, like
yeah.
Because that was like one of the things that I loved most about that game. I'm very curious to see if it's going to be a more recent setting, such as GTA 5, or if they're going to be kind of going like back to 70s through 90s or anything like that.
The Tommy Vercetti era of Vice City.
Apparently, they claim that a portion of the racetrack appears to be shaped like Florida, and other segments of the path also seem to resemble Michigan and the Texas-Mexico border. So they're thinking that not only will we be seeing settings from Vice City, like the fictional Miami, but they're also presuming that we will see other areas like we did in GTA 5, the beginning heist mission where you're in a total different town. Mm-hmm. But as of now, that's all speculation. We will definitely, hopefully, hear something within the next year if it is true. But only time will tell, sir.
Yeah. I just hope Rockstar doesn't pull a Bethesda and they do like Bethesda did, like Elder Scrolls, like in development. It's like, no shit. Like, and then we have to wait 3 more years to hear the next piece
I know,
of
dude.
info.
We haven't heard anything about Elder Scrolls 6.
Nothing, dude. Nothing. I want to do a quick Google search.
I thought for sure we'd hear something last year, honestly. I was pretty disappointed when we didn't.
Well, maybe we're supposed to hear something this year, and then this whole outbreak happened.
That's true, too. I was thinking they were possibly going to go a Fallout 76 way with it, in a way that you can do co-op. But with as bad as Fallout 76 reviewed and still continues to be,
there's hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so the top stories when I Google Elder Scrolls 6 is 2 weeks ago that says rumor the Elder Scrolls 6 setting and release year leaked. And then 1 day ago, the latest story was Elder Scrolls 6 location and release date rumors proven false. So, we can put a stop right there to our enthusiasm.
Whack. All right. Next up, sir. Since GDC was canceled due to coronavirus, Steam is holding a Steam Game Festival starting today. And basically what they're doing is they're trying to help shine a spotlight on small indie developers, and with that they're allowing more than 40 indie games that you can preview and free play on Steam in place of GDC, because these games were supposed to be shown at GDC.
Right.
Which I'm actually going to probably hop on after this to check out, because there has been a lot of good indie games shown at GDC. I want to say, like, one of my favorites, Celeste, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And that one's really good. That's a really good game.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's definitely something to check out, especially if you like new games, free demos, indie developers, because where there is a lot of indie developers, there is also a lot of really good indie games that will surprise you.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the list right now, and the one that caught my eye was Kung Fu Kickball.
That's the one. That's the one.
That is the game.
Let's see here. As for gaming, there's not really a whole lot that happened besides, of course, the PS5 stuff we talked about. Although we do have some things to cover, such as thoughts on Warzone, sir, since you played it.
Okay, let me preface this by saying I don't really play a lot of shooter games. It's not really by choice. It's more of like, there's other games I prefer to play, right? But I like Warzone. It's a really fun game. I think, what was the last BR game that I played? It was probably Fortnite, many moons ago. to be honest. But Warzone was fun. I really liked it. I think the pacing for it is like right around what I expected. It's definitely faster paced than PUBG that I played a long time ago, right? PUBG to me was like a little too slow.
Yeah.
And Fortnite, I didn't play it that long to really get a good grasp on the pacing for that. I didn't really like the building of Fortnite. I thought that was a really annoying mechanic for me personally to try and build stuff and then to try to go through other people's, what they've built and stuff. But Warzone, I really liked it because the pacing is it's at a good pace, and there's no building in there, obviously. And I like the weapon I like the weapon system. I'm not super mechanically good at Warzone, but what I do understand, what I did get a good grasp of, I enjoy it. It's a good time.
Let's see. My initial thoughts of Warzone, out of all the battle royales I've played, I haven't played PUBG except for mobile version, but I have played Fortnite and Apex quite a bit. But out of all of them, I'd say right now Warzone is definitely my number one. Like, everything about it is so nice. They just released solos for it, which is also pretty great. I was a little surprised at first when I heard it was 150 players because I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But the map is a good enough size that with 150 players, it doesn't feel ridiculously big and it doesn't feel too small.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely go a couple minutes without running into anybody, but there are those times where you'll run into 2 or 3 additional squads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the timing of when the circle gets smaller, is pretty good too, and kind of piggybacks off of your idea that like you can go a while without running into anyone else. That time doesn't feel hollow.
Yeah,
it always feels like, all right, you're taking a breath. You're strategizing. What do I need? What do I lack? What do I have to do in order to get from here to the next place where the circle's going to shrink to? There's always you're busy.
Yeah,
right. And that wasn't the case with PUBG for me. There was times in PUBG where I'm like, holy crap, like all right, like I'm here. I'm just waiting for the circle to start getting smaller now, and that's not the case with Warzone.
And then I also feel like it's a lot easier to get engagement if you want engagement because there's constantly, like you said, there's constantly stuff to do. You have your contracts, which give you money if you're not finding people. And if you want to find people, you can buy stuff such as UAV. And it really encourages fighting, but doesn't push it off to you.
Yeah.
The vehicle selection is really nice, I feel.
Loadout selection. I really dig the loadout selection in there. When you get it in game, it feels if you play Call of Duty and you put time into Call of Duty, loadout selection is so rewarding. It's very, very rewarding.
And then it lets you pull in your regular, multiplayer loadouts as long as you have the money for it. Which
including perks and upgrades. I don't know. I don't play Call of Duty, so I don't know the vernacular for that, but
which can turn a fight like you wouldn't believe. But another thing I like is, in terms of Call of Duty, I'm used to small maps, because that's generally what it's been. So it's nice to see that they actually, since it is a bigger map, like you do have bullet drop on longer distances, and it actually feels really clean. Another thing that I really love is the gulag.
The gulag, dude. How did I forget the gulag? Dude, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's literally, I want to say that alone set it above the other battle royales for me. Because you have more than one way to win back. Obviously, your first time you die, you get taken prisoner and sent to the gulag, where you wait your turn to go 1v1 in order to redeploy.
Yeah.
And that's got, like, it's so fun earning your way back into the game.
Yeah.
Like, you feel so
feel
good.
Accomplished. You feel badass.
And then you drop and instantly die again.
Most of the time that's what happens to me. That's because I'm not a good player and I don't pay attention where I'm dropping. But the gulag is one of the highlight features of Warzone, I feel. it also kind of repaces the game. For me personally, it kind of repaces the game. So like we'll be in Warzone, right? And we'll drop, and then we'll have one of those moments where we're not really fighting anyone, and then all of a sudden someone comes from behind and just annihilates me.
Yeah.
And that gets me super frustrated. And it's like, frick, like I just spent this time, strategizing and planning, and then someone just, just outplans me, basically, just outmaneuvers and kills me. And then I make it back from the gulag. I'm like, I'm back for a vengeance. Like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. So yeah, the gulag is definitely one of the best mechanics in a battle royale that I have seen. It's very enjoyable.
And then I've played quite a bit of it, and so far, to me anyway, I haven't felt any weapons are particularly overpowered than others.
Yeah, sure.
Even though, like, there's obviously different rarities. You got your common, your rares, your legendaries. None of them feel way stronger than the other.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a legendary weapon, it's legendary because it has certain attachments or, a different kind of scope or anything like that. But for Warzone, I would say that's all I pretty much have to say. I am looking forward to when they update it to fit the 200 people, because that's going to be insane.
5-man squads, 4-man squads. However, I don't know how big the squads are going to allow to be. But kind of piggybacking off the balance there for you too, I do agree with the weapon balance. I think that maybe it's just the nature. It's not so much like the weapons, themselves, but I believe that it's more of the nature of a battle royale, of getting killed and it's over, basically. Because in regular Call of Duty, if you have an unbalanced weapon on your side, you kind of snowball really fast off of that.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting kill streaks. Your kill streaks get you more kills, and you just raffle stomp people off of that if you're a skilled player. But me being an unskilled player, if there's someone with a strong gun and I also have a strong gun, I feel like it's more of an even match that way.
Yeah. Because
there's no snowball effect. It's either you do or you don't. And that to me is really fun with being a bad player.
Let's see. Any other last thoughts on Warzone, or should we get into our next review? Well, my next review.
Right. Well, I'm done with Warzone. I've shared all my feelings on Warzone.
Okay. TFT Mobile came out today, and I have to admit, it runs and looks very beautiful.
It does. I saw it on your phone. I didn't play it on my phone.
I was super surprised. The layout's clean, like customization for your little legend or your arena emotes. And now they added a new one that changes actually the effect when you win a fight and it's attacking the other little legend. There's also new attacks.
Yeah.
Which is super neat.
Yeah, I got lasered today.
Yeah. It looked very cool. I was actually surprised at how smooth it ran. Like, there weren't any network holdups for it just coming out.
On mobile.
Yeah.
Which is where it'd be more susceptible or most susceptible.
And the crossplay between mobile and PC was you couldn't even tell.
No, I couldn't. I really couldn't.
So, I mean, so far, TFT Mobile, Riot Games, for their first mobile game, I think they knocked it out of the park. I do know, however, that all the news sites that were reporting for TFT Mobile said that it was coming out tomorrow.
And it's available today?
Yeah, I got it probably 4 or 5 hours ago. So, I mean, maybe tomorrow when more people are expecting it, maybe then it'll be harsh on the servers. I'm going to have to check.
Yeah.
But so far, I mean, it looks great. I love the new classes. Demolitionists are cool. I already got my mechs that turned into a giant mech. That was super cool. Let's see.
I picked up TFT for the first time in months.
Since its release.
And it's much more complicated. Yeah. When was it released, man? A year ago?
I would say a year ago.
At least.
You know what I forgot to ask, and I know it was on the PBE, and I'm wondering if it came through this patch. Did you notice if One for All was live?
No, I didn't notice. I didn't look at the case. I didn't look at what was available because you just invited me.
Oh, it's true.
So I didn't hit play. I'd have to whip that open here.
All right, sir. Well, I am all talked out of my stories and reviews.
As am I. I took a 3-hour nap yesterday.
Nice.
And I do not nap. So that was really strange. This coronavirus has got me all sorts of weird. But yeah, I mean, like we said, this podcast may be cut a little short, but actually we hit our usual hour mark.
Surprising.
Yeah. Well, let me say, our last episodes, with the exception of last week, were all an hour and 20 minutes. So
yeah.
We had an abundance of things to talk about. So I'd like to think that it's all right for us to cut it short sometimes, but that's not today. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end stuff here. Thanks, guys, for listening in. Please take advantage that you're quarantined and listen to all of our episodes on Spotify, on Anchor, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It still only has 2 subscribers, myself and Ruben, being subscribers to our own YouTube channel. If we get a nice amount of subscribers, we can have our own custom URL. So that'd be nice.
I do have one last little shout out that I actually forgot to mention. Did you ever play the old game Shadow Man?
No.
Oh man, it's getting a updated release. I'm not sure if it's
the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a remaster or a complete reboot. But I remember I loved that game, and it was just announced today, I believe. Although I didn't make it a story.
What genre is it?
I couldn't even tell you. It's been so long since I played it, man.
It's a video game.
Let's see. Alright, sir. Well, I shall play our outro music.
Alright. See you later, guys. We'll see you next week.
Adios.